Hey Art, I'm back. Chevy's rule. Heartbeat of America. Hey guys, welcome back to Veteran Idiot. As you can see, we evicted Not Mint and we brought in Oscar. We're going to do a bit of a tune-up and change the oil. Got some spark plugs, got some gauges for them, and we're going to make this thing roadworthy today. Get it out on the road because I got stuff to pick up. Maybe an engine, maybe transmissions. The liftgate in the back, I got it down. Can't figure out how to get it back up. We're going to fix that too. And it's only like 108 degrees in the shop. So forgive me for my gym shorts and t-shirt. I'm actually probably going to go change my t-shirt. I like this t-shirt because it is nasty under here. I probably should have sprayed this off a little bit before bringing it in here. Oh well. Let's dig in. All right, so I went ahead and changed my shirt. It's just disgusting under here. It's really mostly just dust. There's not really any leaks other than where the power steering pump is taking a poop. And the gearbox itself is leaking out of the front. And I'm not sure if that's because of the power steering pump isn't pushing it forward, and then when I'm ranking on the steering wheel, that pressure is pushing out the seal. We'll change the power steering pump today, and then we'll figure out the gearbox if it's still leaking after that. Start pulling this air cleaner off and start working through all this vacuum stuff. Maybe we can disable the smog pump and take all that crap out. And then we'll do the spark plugs. Oil change. Oh yeah, real nice. Okay, so a lot of these vacuum lines are just to do with the smog and this valve over here on the side for the smog pump. So like this vacuum line that comes into this thermostat switch and then over to the pump itself for actuation, that's going to come off. We're going to disable that, and then we'll plug the holes in the headers, take those pipes off, and that way the smog pump will just vent to air. We don't have to change the belt, we don't have to pull it off and find a smaller belt. We can leave it in place, and then a pumping to air. The parasitic loss at that point is going to be minimum. It's not going to be bad at all. So we're just going to leave it in place, get rid of the rest of this vacuum line stuff. I mean, it's magically going to fall off during this video, sometime around the video. It's not really helping this engine anyways. It's actually making the miles per gallon worse and making it run really, really rich. So we're going to get that stuff and move it to a different place. All right. A lot of the stuff is zip tied on, but it's actually not too bad of a condition. So we'll go ahead and start by pulling off all these hoses to the smog pump. Okay, so I got the vacuum pump stuff out. Vacuum pump is still in there. The tubes on the headers the tubes on the manifold were a pain. So they were removed skillfully. And now we just gotta find some plugs for those until later on maybe we decide to get some headers. And then we're going to change the plugs now that we can get to all this stuff. Start working on the oil change. And then we'll start ripping apart this power steering pump, put them gauges in. All right, so spark plugs have changed. I didn't want to have to change the spark plug wires because I thought they were in decent shape, but it turns out there's a different kind on every single cylinder. We got straight ones, we got MSDs, we got regular who knows it's, and then some 45-degree angle ones. We got every single one you can think of in here, so we're going to go ahead and just change them. We'll open up that cap, see what the inside looks like, check the contacts, make sure that they're nice and clean, throw it back on, put the new spark plug wires on. Other than that, spark plugs are done. Now we're going to pull out these, what's left of those tubes out of the manifolds and then plug them. It's not going to be too hard to get this thing done today. So, all right. So we're going to take out these ones here. They're not working very well. The temp gauge is just stuck on temp. It doesn't read anything at all. And oil pressure gauge up here doesn't work. So I want to get oil pressure, and temperature here still shows 210. So needs a temperature. It also has voltage. This one does read voltage, but it doesn't read it very well. So we'll go ahead and replace all of those. What I did is I went and picked up one of these cheapo ones from AutoZone, which reality, even though it's a cheapo set of gauges, they work really well for what it is, and you're not spending $100 each on an auto meter gauge that's fluid filled or oil filled, so it doesn't vibrate, stuff like this. It's a service truck, all right? We're not gonna go race this thing down the Autobahn or try and get a 4-second quarter mile. So we'll throw these in. Always use the copper tubing for the oil pressure. Don't use the plastic tubing that comes with it. It will eventually break, and it's going to fill your whole floor with oil, or your engine bay, and you won't notice till it's pumped out everything you got in there if you're not paying attention to the oil pressure gauge itself. Copper tubing. Keep it away from sharp edges. It bends, it stays. It's good stuff. So I got the oil pressure hooked up, I got the coolant hooked up. Now we just got to run the power wires for the lights and grounds for the lights, as well as the power for the volts and the ground for the volt. So here's how I like to do it. And since I'm not hooking it up to the dimmer, since they're pretty inconsistent on brightness, and these are going to have a blue cover on them anyway, so they'll be all right. They're not going to be drowning out your eyesight. So I'd rather keep them at just the same illumination the whole time. And so here's how I do it, is I'll run the ignition power wire for the voltmeter, and then I will tap each one of the power wires for the lights in to that same wire. And then I will do the same with the ground. I'll run the chassis ground and the body ground. I'll run it over and I'll tap each one of them in there. So I've got two main wires coming off of it. I've got one ground, one power, and then all three of the lights power are into one. All three of the grounds are into one. The same with the ground of the volt meter and the power for the voltmeter. Keeps it nice and clean, and it's not going to diminish anything. It'll be good to go. Now you just need to use a 16 and 14 gauge wire for that supply. That way you're not overworking it with those bulbs. Other than that, I mean, it's pretty simple, and it works pretty well. All right, gauges are all wired in. Done with all that. I did run 2 power wires just in case I wanted to take apart the dash at some point, or we have the dash apart and we can wire it to the dash lights themselves. But it's pretty dim the way it is. I think it'll be fine. And cycles the key on, everything comes on. Need to fix the radio. This amp and this radio is fried. But that's all done. We're gonna drop the oil, put the new filter on, run to the store, grab those plugs for the manifolds. And all we got left after that is the power steering pump and the gate. Maybe we're rolling right through this stuff. All right, so I know Vice Grip Garage is all about putting the Rotella in there, but I'm with him on it. I think it's a very, very good oil for the cost as well. And for this old girl, we're gonna do 1540. She doesn't smoke as much as we originally seen when that revival video. She's got a little bit of puff of smoke every once in a while, so we're gonna throw this in there and maybe some oil stabilizer later on. But we're definitely throwing in some zinc for this flat tappet cam, keep it rolling as it should. And I'm gonna go with a Mobile One oil filter. Usually like to go with wicks like him, but this Mobile One is just as good. And as long as you stay away from that Fram stuff. While I got you here and you're watching me pour oil into an engine, I merely just scratch the surface on a lot of this stuff, add a little bit of humor to it. But if you're interested in like full engine builds and frame up restorations, check out my buddy Tackett's channel. It's Tackett's House of Horsepower. I'll link it up here so you can see it. But he goes down all the way down to just the frame, strips the entire car, and builds it all the way back up. And he does it in a manner that's achievable by you and I and anybody else that doesn't have an unlimited budget. But go ahead and check him out. He'll run you through the whole thing and how to do all of it. Oh, one bottle of goodness. All the zinky poos. Drink it up. Drink it up. TB Zinc Plus. I think that stands for tuberculosis. Well, this is a first. Felt the vibration on the way home. Huh? Guess that's what it was. A little bit of an unfortunate finding with that loose yoke on the back of the transmission. So I'll go ahead and drop that real quick before we go any further and I forget. Throw some Loctite on it, ram it back into place, and then throw the drive shaft back up in it. It's gonna set us back just a little bit. But I think there's still enough sun in the sky, and we still need to do a run to the parts store for those plugs and the spark plug wires. Here's another look at it with the drive shaft off. Scary. Oh yeah, we'll go ahead and pull that out. Throw some Loctite on it. All right, now it's time to finally tackle this power steering pump. Get our oil pan underneath it, drain it all out, and pull this pump out of here. Looks like all 12 of the belts have to come off to do so. I could probably rotate it over the alternator one. We fought this one long and hard today. High and low pressure lines in the power steering pump are done for. So I don't know that we're gonna be able to get a set of those tonight. I'm gonna look it up, but we gotta go to the store anyways to grab some plugs for this thing so we can at least fire it up tonight. And I'm gonna take the plate off the back of the lift and see what's up with that. I can do at least those two tonight if I can't get the power steering pump wires. Pump wires? Well, today's been quite a day. Struck out on the plugs, but I got something that I think will work. A little bit of, I think they call it redneck ingenuity. So we're going to take the plugs that were in there for the pipes that we cut off because one of them was completely sheared off. But take those. I've got a button head bolt I'll put on the inside, and then I'll tighten it down over that button head bolt. That should seal it up. I don't know, we'll see if it works. Otherwise tonight I'm going to look up for the actual plugs. I couldn't find any at the auto store or Lowe's or any of those places. But anyways, I got some plug wires, air cleaner, valve cover breather. Struck out on the power steering hoses too, but I can get some of those tomorrow. And so we're going to throw the spark plug wires on, the air cleaner, the breather, fire it up to blow out these holes, and then we're going to try and plug them with those bolts and the existing plugs. All right, let's go. Whew. Hello, you come to help? Sure. I'm good, thank you. All right, so we need to pull that spark plug out, and then we're going to rotate the engine so we can find out where top dead center is and see if it's pointing in the right direction, which I'm going to guess it is, but you know what? We'll just put the plugs on first, see how it goes. So that one is a coil one. They come in different lengths. Start with the long ones first. One's two straight ones. I don't know what that's all about. Hold those. Woo! That could have been probably a much shorter one. All right, let's go with a medium-sized one. All right, a next short long one.
Would you like the next short one?
The next one's gonna be a longer one. My kneecaps.
Short or long?
Oh, let's see here. 18436. Short. Now we see how it runs. All right, let's see. Watch your face. Come over here. All right. Now we'll plug all those holes.
This one, right?
Yep. So nice having a helping hand sometimes. Now we plug those holes. All right, so I've plugged all the holes that I can. Now let's start it and see what it sounds like. If we got the firing order in the right spot, since we didn't check top dead center, we just guessed. And I cut myself. Ow. All right, let's give it a try. That's all the stuff that I sprayed on the manifold burning off. All right, we'll mess with the timing tomorrow, fix that liftgate, find some power steering hoses, and this thing is ready for the road. See you tomorrow.
Good job.
We're now 4 days post last clip. Pulled the cover off of this thing, took a look at this ram, hooked up some power to the ram down here, got nothing. It sounds like or looks like the motor itself is seized up. So we'll probably just replace that rather than sending the motor out, having it rebuilt. It costs just about the same. And then that way we can be able to use this gate. But there's been a turn of events. Let me show you what I'm talking about. You're probably wondering why I'm showing off my new Hobo Freight engine hoist. Well, I'm not. I kind of am, but I'm not. It's because